In this episode, What About Wedding Rituals, Part 3, all about ring rituals. Hi there, bridal couples to be.
Welcome to How to Get Married in Holland.
The ultimate wedding podcast of and about the Netherlands.
We, wedding ceremony experts, aka celebrants Daphne and Jasperien, share all ins and outs of getting married in our flat and fabulous country.
Enjoy listening.
The rings. It's most of the time a fixed element within a wedding ceremony, unless you get married in church, and then normally they exchange the rings in church. And in a civil wedding ceremony, mostly the rings are brought by a bridesmaid or a little boy or family, a bird of prey, even your dog or a rabbit. You had a rabbit?
I had a rabbit, yes.
Favorite rabbit?
It needed to be lured with a carrot, but yes.
But in the end, there are true and beautiful rituals which really add to the emotion of a ceremony in relation to rings. And I think, Daphne, you had a very beautiful example of that, which I didn't know, but I think it's a very beautiful ritual with rings involved.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so during our preparations, I discussed with the wedding couple the how to of the wedding rings.
Yeah.
You know, who is going to bring your wedding
Yes.
rings? And they said, well, they didn't had any children present. So there wasn't a little ring bearer. They thought of
Yes.
their witnesses, but they already had a meaningful task.
Task.
And they wanted to incorporate their parents within the ceremony. So I suggested, why not invite your parents to bring you the wedding rings?
Right.
And I have 2 identical ring cushions or ring pillows,
Okay.
which they can borrow. So they have something borrowed already,
Okay,
next to
yeah.
the something new, something blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then during our brainstorm, we came up with the blessing of the rings. So the bride received the ring of her husband-to-be from his parents,
Yes.
which are her in-laws,
Yes.
and vice versa. So he received her ring from his parents-in-law, her
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
And the parents, before they handed over the cushion, the pillow, with they expressed a wish for the bridal couple. So it was a blessing of
How nice.
their relationship, a blessing of the rings,
Mhm.
but also like a statement of acceptance or a warm welcome in their mutual families.
Oh, so
And that
nice.
was such a beautiful thing, because when you
Yes.
receive the ring from your parents-in-law
Yeah.
and they say how happy they are for you,
Yes.
they wish you the very best.
Yes.
One of the parents even expressed some bridal advice from their own 40 years of marriage, which was quite funny as well. So it doesn't have to be all heavy and serious,
Yeah.
but it can be heartwarming, heartfelt, lighthearted. And it was a beautiful moment within the ceremony.
Yes. Very
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah.
Emotional
But you
as
also
well.
had a beautiful experience with a ring ritual, right?
I had quite some time ago. It was actually in the midst of the pandemic, and the couple expressed that they wanted to have a ring warming ceremony. The rings being passed from one guest to another. The group was not too big. It was about 30, 35 people there, because it was amidst a pandemic, and there was just a little gap that we could actually do this wedding, that we were allowed to be together with so many people. Yet they didn't want to touch, hand over the rings from one person to another, because of the whole contamination thing going on at that time. So I invented a ribbon, and it was a long ribbon that actually went through the different lines of guests. And the only thing the couple had to do, I put the ring on the ribbon, they just had to lift the ribbon a little bit so it moved on to the next person, and then the next person would, lift it up again so it sort of glided through the.
Oh, wow. Like a wave of love.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the end, it ended up with the parents, and then there they took over the rings and exchanged the rings. So that was very, very beautiful. The classic version of the ring warming ceremony would be that the people that you choose, that a couple chooses, actually have the ring in their hand and pass it on to the next person and to the next person until it gets to the wedding couple. And by doing so, they actually pass on their love to the couple. It's their best wishes in a different way without saying it, but it's more about the feelings. So that's very, very beautiful, and it was very meaningful. It always is very meaningful to a couple. The only thing I add to that is that if you have a really big group of people, it can take quite some time, because you have 40 people that want to warm up the rings. It takes a long time, and it sort of breaks the ceremony in two, and you drift away from the carefully prepared how do you say, emotion and feeling that a ceremony has. So you have to start all over again. So I would therefore say, if you want to do a ring warming ceremony, limit it to those who matter most. That could be your parents or your grandparents or your sister or your best friends or your witnesses, doesn't matter. But I would say not more than 6 to 8 people. That's enough. Otherwise it does interrupt the whole atmosphere of the ceremony. But
I
it's
think
beautiful.
it is a beautiful ritual, because
Yes.
it's not your rings, which you're going to wear for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
or the rest of your marriage.
Yes.
They're not coming cold from a box. They're warmed with the loving intentions of your family and friends.
Yes.
And if you believe in energy, which I do, it's you add more meaning.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of positive energy collected in those rings at that moment.
Rings.
And that is very, very meaningful. It really does make a difference. So
and I can imagine once you meet up with your family and friends after the wedding, they also have an extra connection when they look at your hands and see those rings, and that was that during that beautiful day, on that very special moment.
We did that together. We
Yeah.
charged them with all that we have, all the love that we have.
And that's what it's all about, right? Rituals. We did this together. We were in it together. We experienced it together, and we will remember it together.
Yes, it's a big added value that can be added in a very simple yet emotional way to brighten up your ceremony, to make it extra special. And that's what it's about.
So do stick around when you want to hear more about wedding rituals, because we're planning a couple of series between the
Not
other
done
episodes.
Yet. So many more things to talk about rituals, but that we will leave for a next episode.
To be continued.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to How to Get Married in Holland.
We look forward to share more about organizing your wedding day in the Netherlands in the next episode.
Hit the subscribe button so you won't miss anything.
Any questions in the meantime?
Please ask wedding celebrants Daphne or Jasperien. You can find us, plus the show notes, on Instagram.
And if you love this podcast, please leave a review.
It gives us a higher ranking, so more fun international couples with Dutch wedding plans will be able to find us.
Until next time.